Jeez, oh.
Sick.
Aaron Judge, what do you think? Legit?
Legit, just
Not on the juice?
no,
No?
no, I don't think so. He's chasing those sliders outside right now, and
Yeah, he's in a little
gotta
bit of a
give,
slump. Yeah, well, I
get
think
a
the
little
whole team
discipline.
is a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sanchez is playing well.
Yeah, but his defense is not good.
Castro and Holiday out hurts.
Yeah, but they're going on a rehab assignment this week.
Yeah.
So they should be back next week.
Yeah,
So which is a good thing.
yeah, they could
Yeah.
go down September and do well.
You know, I tell you, with Jeter being one of the owners of the Marlins, I think he's going to help the Yankees in a big, massive trade.
Why would he do
I
that?
think their best hitter there, Stanton.
Stanton.
Yeah,
Giancarlo.
I think he's coming to New York.
Do you really?
I think Jeter's going to give him to New York.
Why would he give
with
him
about
to
3 or
him?
4 players? You're going to see that deal within the next month.
Why would he give him to him? You mean Jeter knows the organization well enough that he knows good prospects he can get for them? Or is he just because he's a Yankee and bleeding Yankee,
Well, you know-
purple, whatever the hell you're
Well,
calling
you know,
it?
it doesn't matter, you know, where Jeter is, you know. Well, obviously,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
he owns
some-
another
but you know
team,
what,
he's
but
gonna do
right
anything
here,
for the
you know,
Yankees.
his heart is still a Yankee.
Oh, it is.
I'm walking
Well,
out of this.
no, I'm telling you, his heart is always still a Yankee. I don't care what anybody tells me.
It is, and he, you know,
Look, geez,
he'll,
now you too.
he'll get into the Marlins.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I really think that deal is going to be in the making.
Yeah,
You know, right before the end of September, I think.
yeah.
And-
It could very well be.
Yeah, I mean, he give up. Was it that center fielder there that just came off the DL?
Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks, and there was like 2 or 3 other players that they were mentioning today in the paper. Said it could happen. Don't underestimate, you know, the Yankees and the Marlins wheeling and dealing.
They're already talking
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
And the deal hasn't even been
Yeah,
finalized
that's
as
right.
far as
Yeah,
ownership.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, they're jumping the gun.
Yeah. So tough game tonight in the Bronx.
Hi, and welcome to the Mr. Baseball Show. Here's Mr. Baseball because our second phone, your tax dollars at work, right? How much of the franchise fee do we get from Comcast? Enough to bring you the Mr. Baseball Show. Say hello, Mr. Baseball. Let's see if you register.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Can we hear him?
I can kind of hear him.
Okay, and we have Peter Stella here. We were just having a lively discussion, surprise, surprise, about the 1960 World Series, where Mr. Baseball said he would have put Whitey Ford in all 5 games. No, 7 games. Were you going to put him in for 5 games or the whole 7, Mr. Baseball?
1, 4, and 7.
1, 4. No, I thought you were going to put him in all 7 games.
Oh, yeah, right.
Why not? He's ready to go. I'm sure he would have obliged.
Oh, I'm sure he could have
Could have
pitched in
pulled
2
a
days.
Hoss Radborn.
Oh, old Hoss Radborn could have done it. Then,
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna do a little. What did they used to win back in the 1880s? It was called some type of cup.
There was a car, wasn't
Oh my God!
it? A Chalmers car?
That was for the batting title, and that was between that How do you pronounce that, Peter? Lajawe
Rajawe, who, like...
And,
you know,
Tyrus
retired
Cobb.
The Chalmers Cup.
They had to give him 2. All right, does this sound better? I don't know where the speaker phone is on these. Oh, there it is. There's the speaker. Everything in these iPhones sucks, you know? It looks elegant, but unlike a normal cell phone, you just can't pop the back off and slap a new battery in. And as Apple said, as you know, remember Peter will back me up, I'm sure, formerly of the Silicon Valley. Well, you know, they did put software in there that throttles your battery life, but you're going to come back and pay $1,000 for about $100 worth of technology, or less, made by slave labor in China, so screw you. Do you think that's roughly the Steve Jobs philosophy, Peter?
Yeah, and that's how they became the first trillion-dollar company.
Now, is it Steve Jobs or Steve Jobs?
Jobs.
I believe...
We're not
I believe
talking
it
to
was
you.
Jobs.
Jeez, I've given you material to go off in a comic monologue, and you refuse. All right, folks. Peter has some exciting news. Oh, well, let me look in the camera. I'm doing a Chris Herbert and looking at the. Don't look at camera, not here. I'm doing a Chris Herbert. Peter, tell us the exciting news about our Boston Red Sox.
Well, our Boston Red Sox have broken the 106-year-old franchise record for wins in a season with their 106th win last night, which also cemented their home field advantage throughout the postseason. So it was a momentous evening at Fenway Park last night.
Was it momentous?
And it was momentous.
How do you define momentous?
Well, I mean, even against the Orioles, I mean, the 106. Well, when you break a 106-year-old record, I think the word momentous is not an overstatement.
106-year record. I thought that was back in 1946. They said it.
No, nope.
1912.
That was that team only won 104 games.
No,
It was the
Ted
1912
Williams
team
won
that
105.
105 games. So,
Is that true,
yeah,
Mr.
you're
Baseball?
going back over a century for that.
Well, that was the Jimmy Collins team?
I think Jimmy Collins was on that team. I think Tris Speaker was on that team.
No, Tris Speaker was later. Wasn't he, Mr. Baseball?
He was in the T.
12 and 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah, in that era.
Jeez, this is irritating. I have to have a cord on my phone, folks, as the battery on this one there is dying. And I can't afford the $79. Maybe I should have a GoFundMe. I could think of something else that they could have in the city of Manchester that starts with Go, F-U, me. But that's for my evening show.
How come I'm never on the evening show?
Well, this week it's being hosted by Connie Van Houten. Because politics will give me an aneurysm, and then finally the Queen City will be done with me. But
Isn't that Leslie Van Houten?
do you want to come on and talk about Charles Manson? They just released some tapes. Hey,
Is it really?
Mr. Baseball, were you out in L.A. when Sharon Tate was murdered?
Yes, I was.
You know that Linda Kasabian, the songbird, moved to Milford, New Hampshire.
Right. Yeah, she went with the testified for the state.
For the prosecution. And Peter Estilla's former sister-in-law, Jocelyn, who has been on Ward 13 with John Hopwood, actually was a neighbor and had an interesting story about her and a butcher knife. But you'll have to go on the archives to see that one, folks. Hear that one, folks.
Didn't Linda Kasabian babysit the Heaney girls?
No, it might have been, and Jocelyn was friends with Linda Kasabian. Was it her daughter? I know she had a son that they thought was Charles Manson's kid. Because when there was a grisly murder in Mount Vernon, and one of the rumors was they thought that was Charles Manson's kid. Charles Manson, who, bigger than Mickey Mantle. Would you agree, Mr. Baseball?
Bigger than Mickey Mantle?
Oh, yeah. As a
Yeah,
celebrity.
I guess in this way, yes.
Well, you know, Richard Nixon never told America to lock Mickey Mantle up, even when he was at his most, rampaging under the stands at Yankee Stadium.
Jeepers, this is digressing even for you, Hop.
Yes, Mr. Baseball, are the Yankees going to win 100 games?
No, that's all just short of it.
What are they at now? They have,
They have, at this moment, they have 96 victories.
Yeah, so they only have to go 4-2 the rest of the way, right?
yeah.
Well, they've got, let's see, 6 games left, I believe. So if they could go 4-2, but they're playing in Tampa, and they're usually, although they won last night, they're usually beaten 2 out got a 3 down there for some reason this year.
And they also
pitched,
close at Fenway. But I mean, the Sox are going to be, playing the Scrub Arena. I don't see it's not going to be the 106 game Red Sox. It's going to be their just an amazing facsimile.
Yeah, but does
So
that?
you
What do you think? Does that keep a team sharp to go into a series? We've seen teams beaten that had time off, particularly.
Well, you know what? The way they have it set up now, I mean, the Sox are not going to play until next Friday. So, at that point, it's like academic how well you're playing going to the playoffs. If you have like 5 days off or 4 days off in between games, it's probably, it's a moot point, like how well you're playing at the end of the regular season, I think. What do you think, Mr. Baseball?
I've seen it go both ways, but I kind of like to see them play without 4 or 5 days off.
Well,
Stay in there and play a game or two.
Well, that started when they added that stupid extra wild card team.
no,
No,
Which
actually, it was when they
Yeah.
had the two tiers of playoffs. When you got the divisional series, and
Yeah,
that's when you started having the problem. A team with a good record has time off, like Seattle.
Yeah.
Then they
Exactly.
get whipped.
They won 116
Yeah.
games and got beaten in 5, I think.
Yeah. But Mr.
Yeah, I am totally against that extra wild card. I don't know why they did that. I just think it was stupid. I mean, if you're going to have 3 rounds of playoffs, fine. Okay, but why do you have to add an extra wild card team?
Baseball.
And did you know, I think this year the Cardinals are in 3rd place, but they have, I think, a 2-game lead for that second wild card team. So I think what you're going to see for the first time ever is a 3rd place team make baseball's postseason. What do you guys think of that?
I agree
St.
with
Louis-
you that it's
Yeah, St. Louis
bogus.
could make it. They could make it. They're fighting with Milwaukee, and Chicago pretty much has it wrapped with 5 games to go. So they have a 2.5 game lead. Anything can happen. I'll never forget the 1964 Phillies. Who had a 6-game lead
Yeah.
with 9 to go.
But for them, the Red Sox of '78 would be the most ignominious collapse in recent memory, if you can call
Yeah.
1964 recent memory. Although all of us can remember it.
Didn't the 87 Blue Jays have like a 6-game lead with 7 to go, and they lost to the Tigers?
Yeah, I
I
remember.
seem to re-
Yeah, Detroit came back. That's right. Because they were both.
I think
They were both west,
maybe
right? No.
was it? I think it was 6-game lead with 7 to go, and they blew it. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to do some a quick internet search. Put,
Or was it-
put your law clerk on that one, Hop.
But wasn't it the Tigers that blew it? And that was the first Toronto division, wasn't it? Title. They're the
No, it was the
Detroit
other way
that blew
around,
it.
Hop. It was the. I think it was the Blue Jays who blew it, and it was the Tigers who took advantage.
I'm not so sure, because I was in the Army in Germany, and there was a Detroit fan. And I remember he was crushed, but that could have been during the playoffs. And let me see. Okay, were they in the West or East back then?
That was the
East. That's right.
And
We're all in the East then.
and they ended up losing. They ended up losing to the Twins in the series, and the Twins went on to win that World Series
That
against
was
the.
Bobby Cox, wasn't it? And he blew it. And then he went to the Atlanta. Mr.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can help us out here.
Yeah, well, he did go. It was Bobby Cox, and he had his most success in Atlanta.
Because Cito Gaston is the one that made the Blue Jays winners, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was in the early '90s when they won back to back, '92, '93,
And
Um,
was Cecil Fielder on that team? No, he was on Detroit, wasn't he?
yeah, he was on Detroit. Yeah.
You're right. The Tigers 98 and 64. The Blue Jays won 96. Yeah, because then Bobby Cox, I guess, moved over to Atlanta after that, where he had success that brought him the Hall of Fame. But that was Sparky Anderson, so 2 Hall of Fame managers. Unlike Don Zimmer,
right.
Bobby Cox came back from that. Okay, guys.
Was Sparky still the only manager who won World Series in both leagues?
No,
With the
Tony
Tigers
La
and the
Russa.
Reds?
Tony La Russa.
Oh, Tony La Russa. But I think did Sparky win with the Tigers?
Yes, 84.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Oh, Kirk Gibson.
Okay.
That was Kirk Gibson's last year on the Tigers. Then he went to L.A., where he had
That's right.
Chester Lemon, the guy who had like 2,700 hits, but no chance at the Hall of Fame or something. He was a decent player.
Who, Kirk Gibson?
No, Chet Lemon.
Oh, Chet Lemon.
Bill Maddock was on the team. Bill Madlock. Jack Morris. Doyle
Are
Alexander.
you talking about the Tigers? No, that was the Alan
Tigers.
Trammell, Lou Whitaker Tigers, right?
Right. Yeah. And Darrell Evans at third, who was a hell of a player.
Yeah, Darrell Evans was a good player. Yeah, that was a great team. That was the team that started out like 40-5 or something, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah, the Tiger team of 84.
Yeah, they got off to this ridiculous, insane start. It was like they made this year's Red Sox look, average. And, and then, after they started out winning 40 of their first 45 games, I think they were pretty much 500 the rest of the way. But, they put the switch back on in the playoffs and rolled. But that was a really good team, no doubt.
Who'd they beat in the World Series?
San Diego.
The Padres.
Oh, was Steve Garvey's my Padre?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Steve Garvey, and that was the year the Padres beat the Cubs in the NL Championship when the ground ball went through Leon Durham's legs.
And that was Dick Williams was the manager of the San Diego.
Dick Williams was the manager of San Diego.
That's his last World Series appearance.
He's one of the all-time great managers.
Hall of Fame.
Is he in the Hall? He should be.
Well, he was going to be in the Hall earlier, but some woman claimed that he exposed himself at a hotel tour, so they waited a few years to put him in.
That's right.
Geez, that'll get you on the Supreme Court these days.
That's for the evening show, Peter.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't some baseball player expose himself to a woman at a minor league stadium, and then it turned out to be something else? Let's not go down that path. Talk about digressions. I'll talk to you about it later. Okay, your impressions about how it's shaping up. Who's going to win the NL title?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one to call, but I think if Los Angeles gets in there, and
Really?
if they can keep 3 guys healthy, pitchers.
Do you have any
First shot.
inside info from your daughter about this?
No, it's just my own opinion. Because I don't know if Chicago has enough to carry it, but they might be the better team, actually. Atlanta could surprise absolutely everyone.
Yeah, they have been surprising. That's a good word for it. What about you, Peter? Who do you think is going to face the Red Sox in the World Series?
Well, I guess I'm still leaning towards the Cubs, but I concur with Mr. Baseball that the Dodgers certainly have a solid shot at it. I think what's going to happen is that those are the 2 teams that will face off for the National League Championship, and it could probably go either way. I would give the slight edge to the Cubs. They would have the extra game at Wrigley. And but it'll be a battle.
Yeah.
But you know, that is a very evenly matched. There's a lot of teams you can in the National League you can just throw a handkerchief over. You know, I think the Brewers have a good solid team, and you know they'll be right there. And I think Mr. Baseball's right about the Braves. There's your dark horse that could. A lot of young players who probably won't be feeling the pressure as much, and who knows? It's a crapshoot over there.
Okay, I got one question. Can the Yankees get deep into the playoffs? And we only got like 10, 15 seconds for each of you. Mr. Baseball, can the Yankees, yes or no, get deep into the playoffs?
No.
What about you, Peter?
Well, by deep into the playoffs, you mean like beating the Red Sox after they perhaps maybe beat the Athletics in the wild card game. So they would have to win the wild card, and then they would have to beat the Red Sox to be considered deep into the playoffs.
You mean
we
would meet them in the
I don't
divisional
see it.
series?
They would beat them in the division
Wow.
because the wild card team automatically plays the team with the best record in the league.
Wow,
That
that'd be
used to
exciting.
be outside of your division, but they changed that a couple of years ago, I believe. Right, Mr. Baseball?
Yes, you're right.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't even think the Yankees will get past Oakland, to be honest with you.
What kind of Yankees fan are you?
Oh, I'm an honest Yankee fan.
Well, they didn't get the 400 home runs. That must be
You know,
disappointing.
I don't hang up that sign, you gotta believe, and all that stuff, because both teams believe. So, you know, I know the talent on the Yankees. They don't have pitching. And if they play in Oakland, I don't see the Yankees.
But you've got the
Oh,
Muscle
any-
Boys.
Yeah, the Muscle Boys are not doing well.
Well, you know, that's the problem with Muscle Boys, huh? Sometimes they're just as impotent as Beach Boys posturing, you know, down there at Redondo Beach, you know, in their
Yeah,
Speedos.
right.
Isn't that a
Well, yeah,
nice image? to
thanks for sharing that image.
Hey, are we all done here? Wrap up. Bye, Mr. Baseball. You keep swinging, and I'll say goodbye to Peter, who... Peter, thank you for coming on. I think you should actually
You are
watch
welcome.
the shows, and then you probably would never come back again. And thank
Well-
you, folks. Well, we're wrapping up, Peter. You can come on
We're
next
wrapping
week.
up.
Thank you, and as Mr. Baseball would say, keep swinging. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Play ball!